I definitely think I'm the best. I know I'm the best. You know, Mike, my boy, I love Mike. We was texting yesterday, but he know if I had Drew Brees my whole career, what these numbers would be. Julio Jones know if I had Matt Ryan my whole career. That's my boy. I train with Julio too. He know what these numbers would be. So, you know, those guys are definitely blessed to be in a position where their whole career they had a quarterback that they spent, you know, multiple seasons with. You know, but I don't complain. I don't make excuses. I go out and work. Obviously, you know, my team won the division championship 5 out of 7 years since I was there, and I think every team in that division went out and tried to get a DB every draft to stop what was coming to them every year. But you know, nothing against those guys, but you know, I definitely made 3 All-Pro first teams. Also, I'm not sure how many times that was done by those two.
Hopkins was right, by the way. 3 All-Pros compared to the 2 for Julio Jones and also Michael Thomas. As we say hello to a pair of Super Bowl champions, Michael Robinson and Shaun O'Hara. Guys, that a plateau that DeAndre Hopkins still hoping to reach in his career. But Mike Rob, is DeAndre Hopkins the best receiver in the NFL?
I mean, look, I don't even really like the question, Rhett. I mean, because really, you could pick Julio Jones. You could pick, I mean, you could pick a lot of guys. Julio Jones, Mike Thomas. I mean, all of those guys can lay claim to the best wide receiver in the National Football League. But I tell you one thing, I would build my team around DeAndre Hopkins. You know what I mean? But if I had a choice, I think Mike Thomas may got him a little bit. Look, you can't fault Mike Thomas for getting drafted to the New Orleans Saints and having Drew Brees. You can't fault Mike Thomas for that. You can't fault Julio Jones for having the Atlanta trade up in the draft to go get him when they had a Matt Ryan. I mean, you know, so again, I could build my team around any one of these guys, but if I had my choice, my bad, D-Hop, but I would have to go with Michael Thomas. Come on, man, over 1,700 yards last year. Woo!
I mean, that's a great argument. And look, if Michael Thomas had a great soundbite before this, we'd probably be talking about him being the best receiver. But hands down, Rhett, you're talking about one catch. You're talking about game on the line. It's 3rd and 7. I need a play. DeAndre Hopkins is the best receiver in the NFL right now. I think he has the best hands. You look at all the highlights that we're showing right now. I mean, look, he's not always open. All right, he's making plays with his body. He's finding a way to go up, and whether he's got to wrap his arms around somebody's helmet, catch it one-handed. With the ball in the air, there is no better receiver in the league right now than DeAndre Hopkins. And I think when you look at statistics, it's not apples to apples when you compare him with Michael Thomas or Mike Evans or Julio Jones. Because when you think about the quarterbacks that have been throwing to DeAndre Hopkins before Deshaun Watson came in there, I mean, we're talking about Brock Osweiler, with all due respect. We're talking about Brian Hoyer. You look at the fact that you had quarterbacks that were back there. Mike, the quarterbacks are skipping rocks, bro. All right, you can't look at that and say, yeah, that's the same as Matt Ryan and Drew Brees. So I think it's a tough comparison statistically. If you would give DeAndre Hopkins a few years ago, think about it, he's been in the league twice as long as Mike Thomas has. But if you gave him Drew Brees for those same amount of years, I think the numbers might look a little bit different. Now, I think he plays a little bit more outside than Mike Thomas. Mike Thomas a little bit more inside. But DeAndre Hopkins is more of to me, he's a more deep threat, big play guy. Whereas Michael Thomas is much more about, you know, finding zones, finding spots. Yeah. DeAndre Hopkins, when you look at his catch ratio, all right, look, I went back and looked. 2015, they threw 192 targets to him. All right, he only caught 111. So you mean to tell me that 81 balls he dropped? That means that there were 81 balls that were skipping.
No, we know that.
And he couldn't catch the ball.